Assassin's Creed Chronicles. Is it as good as the main series we've come to know and love? And how does it play on Sony's portable handheld? Today, I take a look at Assassin's Creed Chronicles on the Playstation Vita. Before I begin, I would just like to say thank you to the indie electronic band LEADR for letting me use some of their music. The song you're hearing today is called Whitebird. There's a link to the original video in the description below. Check them out if you've got a few minutes after the video. I don't know how it looks on the consoles, but for a PlayStation Vita title, it looks pretty amazing. Although each game has the same basic layout, art direction and choice of colors help distinguish the three. For example, Chronicles China is shrouded in a dark, misty, almost watercolor-like appearance. It's actually quite beautiful. In a way, it sort of reminds me of Disney's Mulan. Chronicles India goes in a different direction, opting for more vibrant tropical colors, this time taking on a few cues from Disney's Aladdin. Then there's Chronicles Russia. Having been so impressed with how India turned out, I couldn't wait to see what the third entry had in store for me. Unsurprisingly, this game looks amazing as well. Excellent use of red and white really helped to define the look and feel of this game. A sharp contrast from the warm and softer colors of the previous titles. It's very artsy to say the least. Graphic designers would love this game. On the whole, everything looks beautiful. Environments are packed with detail, helping to immerse you into the setting. Traversing in and out of the background are so expertly woven in that you don't even notice yourself doing it. The multiple planes are designed in a way that makes it easy to understand and navigate. I was very impressed with that. There are, however, some low-res textures on environmental objects, but because of the art direction, it sort of just adds to the whole look in a sense. In this particular instance, I think the low-res textures actually help the look of the game. Also, it doesn't hurt that you're playing on a handheld, so those smaller imperfections will be harder to spot. The cutscenes do unfortunately look a little compressed. This I'm willing to forgive since the actual gameplay looks amazing. In terms of performance, all three games run very well, which is a little shocking because I know these were the first games in the franchise to utilize Epic Games' Unreal Engine 3. See that? The PlayStation Vita is more powerful than you guys think. And I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but if you're playing on an OLED Vita, then these games will look even better. If you played any Assassin's Creed game up to this point, then you know what to expect in terms of audio. The music is good, and the voiceovers are very well done. Nothing spectacular, but above average for a game of this scale. The only issue I ran into this was when I was playing with my headphones on. The audio will tend to pop every now and then. It's not a big deal, but it is somewhat distracting at times. And honestly, it's not so much a pop, but more of like a static. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but there's something going on with the sound. Before I played these games, I wondered to myself how the controls of the main AC games would translate over to a 2D playing field. Luckily, everything carries over brilliantly, and in some ways, made even easier. Because you're no longer playing in a 3D environment, there's only so many places you can go. Hiding in the shadows is done with a simple button press, and switching hiding locations is easy as well. Since Chronicles China was the first game in the series to be released, the controls, in my opinion, are not quite as refined in that entry. You could tell the developers were still trying to find their footing with how the game was going to work. India and Russia feel a little more fleshed out in terms of how the characters move and interact. It also helps if you play Chronicles China first, since by the time you get to India and Russia, you'll be familiar with how the game controls. I do have a few issues with the combat though. Because it's 2D, facing multiple enemies will become a problem. Attacking an opponent on one side while having your back to another isn't as intuitive as it could be. In the end, you just learn to avoid combat altogether. I do, however, think it's very cool when you dodge bullets in Chronicles Russia. Touch controls are kept to a minimum, and they work very well. The top left activates your eagle vision, and tapping on the ceiling in a level activates the grappling gun, or whatever it's called. And that's about it for touch controls, I think. I mean, that's all I use them for. So I've watched a lot of reviews for these games on YouTube, and I'm guessing the consensus for this is that it's not very good. Mediocre at best, and getting worse as the series went on. I honestly don't know what everyone else is talking about. I love these games, and thought they were so cleverly designed. They're not perfect, mind you. Some of the later missions in Chronicles India will have you tail someone with a time limit. Those weren't very fun in the main AC games, so I can see why people would despise them in this game. The thing is, those sequences are not that long. There are only so many places you can go. Making a mistake is easy, but finding the right path isn't very hard either. I will admit, it does suck having to start all the way back at the checkpoint if you fail. I think some of you guys are just bad at this game. Just kidding! The thing I love most about this game is that even though it's played on a 2D plane, it still allows you multiple ways to tackle a situation. It's a nice relief to know you've got more than one way to get through a level. Unfortunately, in Chronicles Russia, this becomes a problem as you'll have too much freedom with not enough information. Level objectives can get so vague, you're left with basic trial and error before you either find a guide online or just plain give up. Not gonna lie, I was stuck on this sequence here for a good half hour before I realized I needed the magnetic keycard from one of the patrolling guards. Now, how the hell was I supposed to know that when the objective was to create a distraction? Luckily, that's the only thing that really bogs down the game. Unclear objectives, which is mostly with Chronicles Russia. China and India were pretty smooth. Another thing I like is that there is no backtracking. Unlike it was in Batman Blackgate, which made the entire game a nightmare, AC Chronicles allows freedom to traverse the environment while at the same time able to keep pushing you forward. Chronicles India does this very well, as you can see with these platforming sections. Doesn't this remind you of Uncharted 2 for some reason? I do wish there were more opportunities to use your gadgets though. Some of them seem more situational. You'll use it for one level and then go a few without ever touching them again. And I also have to mention the assassination kills. These are so cool, especially in Chronicles China. I mean, did you ever think you'd see the day where a hidden blade would be attached to the tip of a shoe? Giving someone a spinning kick with one of these is so satisfying. Even better, check this out. Fatality. Story-wise, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't even paying attention. But I mean, does anyone know what's going on in these AC games anymore? Rest assured, there is a story in here somewhere. The unique thing about Assassin's Creed Chronicles is that it doesn't play like your traditional AC game. That's not to say fans of the franchise won't enjoy it, but because of its more simplistic approach to stealth, I feel like it opens the door to a wider range of gamers. It has all the characteristics of what makes a great Assassin's Creed game, but it's done on a much smaller scale, more manageable and less time consuming. For those who felt intimidated by past AC games because of its huge, sprawling open world gameplay, Chronicles might be the game for you. It may not have been that great on the consoles, but this is the perfect title for a portable handheld. What better way to experience it than on the PlayStation Vita? Now, if you want to see a comparison video for Assassin's Creed Liberation, then click on the next video. The one next to it is a review I did a few years back. Check them out.